Hello, all, and welcome to All Red. It's a special edition once again because we have our second guest, friend of the show. It's Kenny Anderson. Kenny, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for it. Like, this is really fun. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. Well, Anfield was roaring as Klopp's kids were soaring. Did you like that? That was pretty good, right?
It's
I
pretty good
thought
off
of
the
that
cuff, I
one.
bet.
Yeah, I thought of that one last night, I think, because I was falling asleep. What a win. What a win. I don't know about you, Kenny. I wasn't even nervous yesterday. I was probably more nervous just to see who was going to play than if we were actually going to win the game. I don't know if I really cared a whole lot if we won, just because of the odds of playing so many teenagers. It felt like a game, in the last 5 to 8 years where we've had to do that, or Klopp has just chosen to do that to keep the best team fresh. Where it's just like, yeah, we're going to put the kids out. We don't really care. It's FA Cup. Sure, we'd like to win it, but hey, we can't play our best 11 every single game. And the kids won it. And it wasn't even close, right? I mean, 3-0
Yeah.
domination.
I mean, yeah, like, it started off like pretty slow, which is honestly what I expected, especially when the entire core of the team was just academy kids. So that's pretty much like what I was expecting from the beginning of the game. But then again, like, the game also could have been over within the first 15 minutes of the game from Southampton, but they
Right.
had like a good couple of chances right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Couple of poor finishing from Southampton, but also Keller making a couple of good
Oh, man.
saves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they,
They
he
had
he kept
chances all
us in it.
game.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Southampton, honestly, I mean, there were several where it was just like Striker and Kelleher, and it was just like, nope, yeah, you're not going to score.
Yeah,
Queven Kelleher is like,
you got the name down
uh,
now.
yes, thank you to everyone who's been like, bro, it's Quevian. I'm still gonna I'll still slip up and say Queeman. I guess it's just my American stupidity,
I've,
but
I've always been saying Coman.
Coleman, Queeman.
Coman,
Well, to be
Coman,
honest,
yeah.
and to be fair, commentators say it different. No matter,
Yeah.
different commentators say it differently. But I think I don't know if we've had some official Irish help on the channel in the comments section, but I think it is Quevian. It's Quevian Kelleher.
Get in the
Or
comments, give us the
Queven.
phonetic.
Yeah, spell it out. Spell it out for us. But Queven Kelleher, I mean, he is a revelation in these past 3 to 4 weeks, where I've always loved Quevian. I know he makes mistakes. I just had something crazy happen. Okay, sorry. Queven Kelleher, I think a lot of people were rolling their eyes at not having Allison for this crazy stretch of games.
Mhm.
Queven Kelleher, is it too early to say he's world class? I mean, the saves he is making are
No,
incredible.
honestly, like, I honestly just think it's just having a run of games and like having him be able to actually play a little bit more. I know, like, usually we only put him in for cup games and that kind of stuff, which
Yeah,
like is pretty stop start to begin with.
right.
But honestly, like, if you give him a run of games, like, you can kind of think back to when Allison got injured a couple of years ago and Adrian had to step in and he filled in, did a fantastic job. Like,
Yeah,
if you just give somebody a run of games, like, they can actually show their quality.
yeah.
And I think he's honestly really stepping up now. Like, he made a lot of saves like that he should make, and then he made a couple like really smart keeping saves, like with people running through on net and everything like that. So it's
Yeah.
honestly it's really cool to watch him. He is very good.
He's very good, and it's no wonder he's been studying under the best in the world, Allison
Exactly.
Becker,
It can
week
only
in and
help
week
you.
out, and he gets to train with him, and he gets to train with one of the best teams in the world. Obviously, I'm sure in training, um, learning from Allison, and being tested by some of the best strikers and midfielders in the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was an interesting game to watch, because it did feel like, okay, Southampton probably should be winning in the first half there. There were so many chances where it was like, ooh, they're in on goal. There were a couple where it was like, yeah, you should have scored that. And
Mm-hmm.
all the Southampton, they were obviously frustrated. You could see it after they were missing chances. And at the same time, it just kind of felt like, whatever, like, we'll be all right. We're in control.
Yeah.
I said yesterday, it was like, do we actually have a good defense, or do we just have really good goalkeepers? Or do teams just not finish against us at Anfield because of the moment, the stadium, the fans, the atmosphere? It's probably a combination of all three. But I feel like in the last couple of weeks, there have been some really big chances by the opposition that they haven't taken. Chelsea had chances in that FA or the Carabao Cup final where it was like, yeah, I probably should have scored that, and yet they didn't. And Quavian Kelleher has now several big games where he's kept a clean sheet, and it's not even really because of the defense; it's because of his saves, which are just insane.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for the way that the game was going, like with Southampton pretty much dominated, I would say the first 15 to the first half of the game, and definitely it was definitely a struggle. We had to get into the game. Yeah. And I think we started playing a lot better around midway through the first half because we figured out how to stop their high press. So we drop the center backs back, put the wingers wide, and then just get the ball through to them, and that opens up the middle. And so once we got through that, we played a little bit better. And I mean, Southampton in general is in the promotion spots for the championship, and they're a really good team. They're one of the teams that I think they have the most goals in the championship right now, or I think maybe Leicester has more than them. But they have been going through a little skid. I think losing that game, they lost 4 out of the last 5. So we probably played them at the right time. They've just been kind of struggling recently, so that definitely helps. But defense wise, I think they're a good team. And if they were to come up, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, I think
defense wise. Oh, you go.
Yeah, at this point, they kind of feel like a Premier League team. I think they're. I think their quality. I think they'll come up, and I think they'll compete. I don't think they'll be a throwaway team next year in the Premier League. Yeah. And so yesterday it felt like, okay, we're playing a Premier League team here, and it's a cup game, so anything can happen in a cup game.
They got Premier League quality in them too. I mean, they have players that have been in the Premier League. So. And
yesterday I was thinking, how many of our best players have come from Southampton over the years, right? We have them to thank for we have them to thank for a lot of our best players over the last 7 to 8 years.
Definitely.
Including Captain Verge. So it felt like, okay, are the teenagers, are Klopp's kids going to be up for it? I think you said it in the first half hour of the game. It was like, maybe not. There were a couple players. I think it was Bobby Clark and maybe Kumas, who were just like, the touch isn't there. They had, some really good space to work with, and they just kind of, it was just kind of maybe nerves. And you just felt like, I don't know. It's really cool that they're playing. It's really cool that they're in there, at Anfield in a cup game. For some of them, it was their first start in the senior team. And it's like, this is great. This is cool. Great experience for the kids. Can they do it? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
And after that first half hour, you could kind of feel it. You could sense they're starting to get into it. They're starting to get the rhythm, the confidence. And
I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think it was the confidence just to be able to play it. And once they started breaking the higher press, they started getting on the ball a little bit more. So I thought that's what they were missing in the beginning. Clark and McConnell, they weren't really showing to the ball as much, or when they did, they kind of just played it back. They didn't really have the confidence to kind of turn and go forward. Yep. And then once they started going a little bit more forward, you can see they have quality, and it's really awesome to see. As soon as they start going, they're like, oh yeah, I can play with these guys. I can do this.
Yeah. And Southampton, to their credit, they stuck to their game plan, which was we're going to play it out of the back. We're not going to boot it forward. I thought just we were maybe a couple, a foot or 2 feet away from making some really key interceptions in their 18-yard box several times, where it's like, okay, if Darwin's in there, if Diaz is in there, if Salah's in there, we probably get 1 or 2 of those and capitalize. And it just seemed like the kids were for good reason. Not as quick or as fast as our senior, best in the world. I think one of the best in the world are attacking three. Yeah. And yet, they weren't able. Southampton wasn't able to capitalize on some of the space they had from our high press, breaking it. I think they broke it pretty well all game. But in the 44th minute, as we know, Lewis Kumas breaks through, and before the game it was like, all right, if we're gonna score, it'd be cool if Gakpo scored. Yeah. It'd be cool if Harvey Elliott scored. That'd be sweet. Hey, maybe even Joe Gomez. But it seemed like, just from what I was reading and some comments, that most fans wanted to see the kids score, right? Like, you want the kids to get in there, and straight away you want them to score and contribute. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah. Lewis Kumas with, it was a deflection. I thought in real time it was like a really, really cool finish. Like what
a nice cutback across the goal near post.
Just knew exactly where he wanted to put it. I think it was a bit of a deflection, and it doesn't take anything away from him being in the right spot and putting it where it needed to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it just looked like, from the real time look at it and the camera angle, it's like, ooh, that's a really cool finish. That's like a somebody, a 28, 29-year-old who's been scoring 30 goals a season type finish.
Yeah.
And he slotted it away, and that was sweet. I didn't expect us to go into the half one up, and Luis Kumas did it. Obviously, we're going to get to Jayden Danns. I kind of just want to hear from you, Kenny. I know you're more of an analytical guy, and just want to hear from you. Maybe what were some of the standout performances from really the whole team throughout the game? Who really impressed you?
So Van Dijk was probably, just imperious, composed, like pretty much everything that you want from him in the first half. Like any kind of mistakes that were coming, he would really help to like kind of clean up and just give that little bit more assurance to the team. And that's like the person that you really want talking to that young midfield that's right behind them, tell them where to be, where to go, how to break this press, and then get forward. And then after they actually started getting a little bit more control of the game, I thought Clark was fantastic. Whenever he's on the ball going towards the back line, he's quality, and he's actually very dangerous. It's very impressive to see how he plays when he's going forward. And it's exactly how the first goal comes. I forget who plays the ball in, but Kumas drops in, plays the ball back to Tsimikas, and Tsimikas drops it to Clark, who then takes that touch inside, beats his defender, and then gets going at the back line. And then he threads the ball through right to Kumas, who does fantastic, touches and makes like a couple yards of space, and then gets a shot off, and deflection or not, it's a fantastic goal. And that all starts like from him beating his man in the midfield and then getting the ball into the front line, which is fantastic. And I thought he did excellent throughout the whole game.
Yeah, Bobby Clark, obviously not the first we've seen of him from this season, but just another one of those young players, maybe not to the level, definitely not to the level of Connor Bradley, but a young player who's getting this invaluable experience during what has already been a magical season. It's not like we're having a terrible season or we're 25 points up in the Premier League where Klopp's got the just the room or the comfort level of like, I'm going to put the kids in. It doesn't matter. No, these games matter. These games all matter. And Bobby Clark has been a player who's stepped in and just really impressed. He's done really, really well.
Yeah. And like to the other kids that were playing, like Kumas, like with scoring the goal that he did, I think he had maybe 15 touches on the ball the entire game, and one of them is in the back of the net. So that's everything you could expect from a young kid playing against a defense who's probably going to be promoted into the Premier League next year. So that's fantastic. And Bradley is effervescent as always, literally pops up everywhere on the field. It's incredible to watch him get around everywhere. There was at
Connor
one
Bradley,
point,
he's so fast.
Yeah, he's quick.
Is he one of the fastest players on the field, like on the entire team?
It looks like it.
Man, there was
honestly
one.
looks like it.
There was one play where they played. The Southampton played a ball through. There was nobody back, and it was like, oh, he's in. This is not good. And Connor Bradley just like screams through like it was nothing. And it seemed like the Southampton player knew it too. He was like, ah, crap, I can't get there.
Yeah,
And just
I think
took
there
it
was a
away.
point where Bradley was popping up like on the opponent's box, like coming across to the left side to make an attack happen.
Right.
We lose the ball, it goes to Southampton. 30 seconds later, he's standing up Sulemana like on a 1v1 on the edge of the box and winning the ball. He's just all over the entire field. It was so cool.
Yeah. Connor Bradley, another player similar to Kelleher, where it's like, okay, it's not super surprising when you think about who he's been training with. Trent Alexander-Arnold, again, one of the best in the world. And here's Connor Bradley, who in many ways has some similar qualities to Trent, just in the way he attacks, and yet has kind of his own style. And he's made it his own position now, where it's crazy to think that Connor Bradley is going to make it difficult for Klopp when Trent is healthy. It's crazy to think that.
It's a fantastic problem to have.
Like
he really is different in the way that he plays offense. Like he's more connecting with every like through the midfield and also in the front line, where Trent is usually more of like the spraying the ball across the field, kind of like just getting it, breaking a few lines all at once and everything. But to have both of them as an option is awesome.
He's almost like a blend of Robbo and Trent in a way. Like he kind of makes runs like Robertson, where it's
just
those
marauding
1-2s
down the line.
just running straight down the line, making some 1-2 connections. Obviously, that goal that he scored against Chelsea was. I said it at the time. I was like, that's a finish that we would be buzzing about if that was Darwin or Gakpo. Like, what a finish from
like
our
absolutely
right back.
Quality, amazing.
Who else? You mentioned Bobby Clark. Who else really impressed you?
So McConnell, not as like a bright performance, but his was definitely more of like getting the dirty work done. Like he was doing all of the closing down, starting a lot of the presses and everything like that, plugging up passing lanes and everything, and like he's really just putting in the hard yards, which usually goes unnoticed. But what's cool about him is that whenever he does get on the ball, he's able to pick out a pass. He's actually really good. There's a couple where he hit across the field, finding Elliott in stride, starting an attack. He was up there when we stole the ball off of Southampton, building it from the back. He gave it into Gakpo, and Gakpo unfortunately couldn't get the finish. But like he knows where to get the ball, like who to get the ball and to the correct people's feet. So it's really cool to watch him.
Yeah, and yesterday was probably not even a really true test for Clark and McConnell because of just the weirdness of our starting lineup. I mean, Joe Gomez as essentially your 6, right? It's like that was a little strange. And I saw somebody shout out to the Bleacher Report community that we're a part of, the Liverpool community. Somebody said, this Joe Gomez experience in the midfield didn't work for me. It was like, this is not a test. This is like, that's all we have. We don't have anybody else.
I thought the same.
It's not an
experiment thing. I was like, it's not an experiment. Like he's just put in there to do a job. And he did the job and he got it done.
He's literally one of the few bodies that we have left that we can toss into the starting 11. Joe Gomez was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine. It was just like
he's got a little bit of that Milner multi-tool in him.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was just like there was some gaps in the midfield. That's how I think Southampton was able to get some of their really good chances. And it's like, well, no wonder. I mean, we're playing essentially a center back, right back, left back guy now in the midfield, and to Gomez's credit, he was defending pretty well, and he was getting forward too, just like we would kind of expect our Endo 6th player to do. But for Clark and McConnell, it was like, hey, if they did have an Endo in there or a McAllister who had started in that position, the game probably would have looked a little different for them. And to their credit, they performed really well with a really kind of strange midfield and even a strange front 3. It'd be really interesting to see how either one of those could slot into a starting 11 where it's you have an Endo and you maybe have a McAllister, and how do they perform and play with some of the best players in those positions?
I mean, honestly, you got a little glimpse of it. I forget, McAllister came on around like the 60th or 70th or whatever, and as soon as he came on, midfield, like Southampton didn't have a sniff of the ball in the midfield at all. We completely
Yeah.
dominated the game as soon
Yeah.
as he came on. Like when
Yep.
it shows you the jump in class from having that inexperienced person to having one of the best in the world, like just in midfield in general. And
Yep.
like the way his positioning, where he is, where he's telling everybody else to stand, like it shows you how much better your midfield is when you have that base, and then the kids can just kind of fill in the slots wherever they need to go.
Yep. Okay, I think we've waited long enough, Kenny. Should we talk about Jayden Danns?
He is the truth. Jayden Danns is the truth.
Well, you heard it here first.
Oh man,
Jayden Danns is the truth.
Like as soon as he came on Luton, you could see what he was about. You could just see the confidence in him. It was awesome to watch him play, especially when he came on yesterday. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, that first goal was the goal of the game for me. It was not only, I mean, just the team play and the space he was able to get in, and the split second before, as he's in the space, you see the keeper and you see Jayden Danns, and you're thinking, okay, he had one option, and it was to chip it. I don't think there was any other angle there. He can't go near post. He can't really go far post. And it was like, he's got to do this like really difficult from a striking position, this really difficult tactical, like little chip, little dink, to where, and I never played striker, but I've been in those positions where it's like, I got to chip this. And a lot of times I just like underhit it or I overhit it. That's a really technical finish from Jayden Danns, and really calm, cool, and collected finish from an 18-year-old kid playing in front of 60,000 people at Anfield. What a finish. What a finish that was.
Honestly, it's the finish that you expect Gakpo to make like 45 minutes earlier when he gets sent through. And just beautiful stuff.
That's a Salah-esque finish right there, where you would expect Salah to be, if Salah's in that position, it's a goal. I mean, 70, 85% of the time, Salah's putting those away, and he's doing exactly what Jayden Danns did. It's a little dink. It's well controlled. It's calm. It's cool, collected. And Jayden Danns was up for it. He was up for it.
I was watching it back just to see like what he was doing before he actually got to the run onto the ball. And as soon as we win the ball off the press, he takes 2 looks over his shoulder. He knows exactly where the last defender is, and then he just times his run so perfectly. Elliott plays the ball in, and he only has 1 shot to do there. And if you're even an ounce less of confidence, you're either just hitting it as hard as you can or cutting it back across the box and praying that someone's there for a tap in. Yeah. But he just freaking little dink, just so nice. That's striker, what he is about.
Yeah, it's the striker mentality you want from your front man. It's a little, and in that position, you can't even call it selfishness, but you want your striker to be selfish. You want him to be confident enough to, in those positions, not to look for a pass, but only have sight of goal and an eye for goal. And Jayden Danns was that. His positioning, his run, his timing looked like he'd been playing with this senior team for several years. And he's also just physically, he's a big dude.
No, he's got size.
When he was during that, I think it was the first or second goal celebration, it comes up to him and it's like, he's a little bit taller than Konate. He's like giant. I know he's got the hair too, but still, he's this imposing, big, strong striker. Yesterday for me was like, this doesn't even feel like the same Liverpool team. Like, who are we watching? Like, this is a completely different team. Are we in like 2029 here, where like this is crazy?
Just a
And
little glimpse in the future.
it's a glimpse of the future. And I think I said it on the BR community yesterday. This was another parting gift from Klopp to show whoever comes in next, to the prospects that we're looking at, that are looking at this position, this managerial position, how good they're going to have it with not only our senior team, but the next generation coming through our academy is just incredible. It's
Yeah,
incredible, the
it's
range of
it's
talent
so
that we have.
it's so cool to see. Like whoever comes in the summer has a spoil for choices.
Yeah,
And even for like all the young kids that are in the team right now, like after a new manager comes in, that's when you're really going to see what kind of professional that they are and how they're going to take that next step into their career. Because whether or not they go try to push through for a first team spot with the new manager, or if they're playing so well that they earn a move somewhere else to be a first team starter, like they're going to get their chances right then and there. And hopefully like they can take it and continue on and just have themselves a good career.
yeah, and I'm not a football director, and I'm not a very smart guy either. But I would think talents like Connor Bradley, Clark, McConnell, now Kumas, Jaden Dans, and there's several others I think in the team, maybe even Kelleher, not needing to go out and spend 30, 40, 50, 60 million pounds on players for those positions with, somebody like a Robertson, somebody like Diaz is 27. He's not going to be here forever. Salah, and we've got next generation talent already coming in where you don't have to go out and spend 80 million pounds to fill a position. And
Yeah.
that gives you the freedom then to say, okay, where do we have the gaps? Where can we go out and say, we're going to splash 80 million pounds on a player because we haven't had to spend on all these other positions because we just got academy kids coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. Academy kids is like pure profit, whether it's like profit in ability to play in the field or profit in money in the bank if you move them on somewhere else. So like to be able to have like that many players coming through who can show that they can be a quality player, whether or not they move on, it's fantastic for the team.
Yeah. And you got to love the hometown kid, Jaden Dans, born in Liverpool, grew up there. I think he was signed by Liverpool when he was like 5, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, like 5 or like very early on. I think he on Instagram he posted like the throwback photo of like when he was first there to him celebrating his goal. Like that's just awesome. It's the stuff of dreams.
I've got an 8-year-old son, and yesterday I told him, "Hey, that kid's only 10 years older than you." And he's like, "Really? For real?" I was like, "Yeah, he's only 10 years older than you." He's like, "Wow, it's crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, that is crazy. Makes me feel old." Let's talk about the second goal of Jaden Dans. I thought it was it was a great goal. I thought just leading up to it, Connor Bradley could have easily scored there. It's a really good shot by Bradley. And I remember in the slow-mo replay, I'm like, how did Dan's get there? What was he doing? And I think it was even before Connor Bradley took that outside of the foot shot. You could see Dan's like, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what happens, I'm going in. And you could just see you could see the hair going up and down, like, and he just blasts through there. The defender had absolutely no chance, and just the single touch, no questions asked, just rips it into the back of the net. It was just like, dude, 2 for Dan's, let's go.
Yeah. So instinctual, and that's just like he's a proper striker. Because the first goal that he gets is pure technique and timing. And then that one is just like, I'm going to beat you to the ball. Like, I'm going to read this, and instinctually, I'm going to finish the ball when it comes to me. And he's just right place, right time. And that's 2 of the best qualities that you could have in a striker or any player.
It's like, this is probably, we're getting after, but it's like first goal was Salah. Second goal was a little bit of Dirk Kuyt. or Kite,
Yes.
or however you say his name, Kite, whatever. It's another one I'm botching. But it was like Dirk Kite never scored like beautiful goals. It was always just like, oh, that's a trash goal, but that's Dirk's
Yep.
style. He's just in there. He's doing the dirty work. He's going to be,
Exactly.
in all the right places at all the right times. He's doing rebound goals. He's scrapping, and that's a little bit of what that second Jaden Dan's goal
Yep.
was. It's just like, seconds, and he's in there in the right spot at the right time. And that's, like you said, one of the best qualities of a striker. I mean, that's a little bit like Harry Kane, what Harry Kane does. It's a little bit of what Haaland does, right?
Yeah.
They're obviously they've got some great goals over the years, but in many regards, they're just nowhere to be. They just know the right spot to be.
Yeah,
I think I've heard Mark Goldbridge, who's obviously a big Manchester United fan, but he's like, you put me in that City side and I'm scoring 30 goals a year. Just the quality and the level of service he gets. I'm scoring 30 goals. And but that just again, back to Jaden Dan's, like, if you know the right spot to be in, if you have those instincts to know that Connor Bradley's about to shoot, and I've got to be in there in case, it goes off the post or in case the keeper makes a save. And he was there in the perfect spot. And I just love the way that he scored that, of just like an absolute rocket shot into the back of the net. The level of confidence that you have to do that. And just the mindset of, like, he knew from the second Connor Bradley hit that shot, he knew exactly what he was going to do, which was, I'm not taking a touch. I'm ripping this thing into the back of the net. And what a sweet rip that was, and a sweet celebration, sliding across the pitch with the number 2.
2 fingers up.
That's right.
Love it.
Jaden Dan's. Well, what a win for Klopp's kids. We're on to the next round. Is it confirmed? Is it Manchester United? Are we playing
It's
them?
Manchester United. Yeah. Casemiro scored like in the 89th minute for them to win it. And so,
fantastic.
And I think the game is at United as well.
Okay. Well, great. We will welcome the challenge. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun one. I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here, but last night I was putting my 8-year-old to bed, and I was just kind of talking with him about, hey, what I think he might have asked me, when do we play Manchester City? I was like, I think it's in like 2 weeks. Let me check. So I checked, and I was like, oh, it's in like 11 days. That's kind of scary with the amount of injuries we still have. And I was like, okay, who's going to play in that game? And I was like, okay, obviously it's Queven Kelleher. I don't think Allison will be back. No. Then it's who's on the back line. Okay, it's Van Dijk, it's Konate, Bradley, and Robertson. Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Yep.
They're already healthy. Who's in the midfield? Well, it seems like Szoboszlai is really close to being back.
He should be back. Maybe he'll miss the Forest game, but he might be back for City.
It's from what I've heard, he was itching to play in the cup final, and Klopp didn't let him. And so it's like, okay, well, should have Szoboszlai, and then it's Endo and McAllister. Okay, that's actually a really good midfield. What about our front three? Well, if Darwin's goal celebration during the cup finals is any indication, he should be ready to go. And it seems like Salah's close as well. And then we've got Gakpo and Diaz. Okay, we're actually in a really good position, I think, right now. Yeah. For obviously we gotta win at Forest first. We don't want to discount that an away game to a scrappy lower side, but onwards and upwards. Sky's the limit for this team right now. And as much as I would love to see Klopp's kids get a result against City, I'd also love to see some of these players start coming back.
Yeah.
So
honestly, just with the way that they're playing right now, the way they're winning games, like Klopp just has this team so unbelievably focused on each game that's coming up. So like no matter who's in there, you know they're at least going to put a shift in, and they're going to give everything for it, and it's just so fun to watch.
It is. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch Klopp's reactions too. You can just see how much it means to him.
He's having
to
so
see
much
these
fun
young
on the
players.
sideline.
Oh, he is.
Every single time he subs on a kid, he's got his arm around him. He's laughing with them. He's sending these kids out for their debut, and he's laughing with them on the sideline. Like he's making them feel invincible.
Right. Just the way that he sat down in his like post-match press conference too. He was just like this, like those giant teeth were just shine bright.
The big
underbite. He's loving it. He's loving it. And this is such a weird period for a team like Liverpool, who are flying on all fronts. They are, like you just said, I think most of the players right now probably feel invincible. And you have a manager who is having the time of his life, celebrating every victory like it is a cup final. And yet at the end of the season, we know he's gone. And it's like, this is such a weird dichotomy of a manager who's leaving on his own terms, which is, the way that you would want a manager to go out. Yeah. And at the same time, it doesn't even feel like he's leaving yet. Like he still has all this energy. And I've seen several people like post little video clips of him celebrating. And it's like, this dude's not running out of energy. Get him a new contract. Let's go. Come on. 10 more years. Let's go, Klopp. But it's so fun because we know how good of a position we are in as a team, as an organization. Even losing the best manager in the world, it still feels like the future is brighter than ever.
Yeah. It's honestly, he does everything the way that it should be done. Like even with him like going out the door, he's going out on his own terms. He's doing it early, announcing it early, giving everybody the time to kind of process it, giving the whole club itself like time to figure out what the next step is. And then after that, it's just been, he's been relishing every single game.
Yeah.
Like that cup, if we only win the Carabao Cup, he will be happy with it. And I think everybody else would be too, because we got to share that moment of him lifting one more trophy on his way out.
And in one of the best stories ever, I think the announcer on that game, when the game finally was over, was like, this is one of the most impressive cup wins ever against all the odds, with the kids and the teenagers that he had to put on in extra time. And so we're not going to say that though, Ken, because we're winning more trophies.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Never in doubt, the quadruple.
The Klopp-druple, as it's now coined.
That was a great post.
Well, Kenny, thank you so much for joining, man. This was absolutely fantastic. Certainly will not be the last time that we have you on All Red. We have much to look forward to here in the next couple weeks. It's Forest this weekend, and with players returning from injury, it'll be exciting and really exciting to see the dilemmas that Klopp has to work through on his team sheets now that we have so many amazing players who we all want to see get minutes, but you can't play them all. So it's an absolutely delicious problem to have for Liverpool.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't wait to see how Klopp manages it all.
Oh, yeah. Also, before we sign off, special shout out to Neoni and Cade Gordon. You know, the 16. Did you see that kid's face walking onto the field? He looks. That's a child.
Yes.
And then Cade Gordon, the forgotten star child, coming back.
Yes.
He's no longer in pain. He's back. It's really good to see him too. So like, don't forget about him either.
Are they both? They're both 16. No, Cade Gordon is 19.
Cade Gordon, I think he's 19 or 20.
He's 19,
then,
but yeah.
Yeah, and then Neoni is 16 years old.
Yeah, dude, that's incredible. 16-year-old,
awesome.
Man. That's insane. Oh, man.
That's great.
What a team. What a team.